Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens at our tiny farm. Today we are going to be planting some climbing roses and some gorgeous clematis to the gardens just to add touches of romance to the cottage garden. I'll be sharing some of the fertilizers that we use on our roses, and we are also going to be planting a sunflower patch for the birds to enjoy later this season. One of my personal favorites about a cottage garden is the vertical entrance, like climbing roses or clematis, climbing up over either over a fence or a trellis, an arbor, even over structures or up a wall. You just bring so much beauty, charm, and romance to the garden. This is our back cut flower garden. I call it our big cottage style cut flower garden. We recently added in a greenhouse to the back side of this garden, but right along the front side of this fence, we do have a Jacqueminot clematis. I feel like every garden needs this clematis in it. It grows so beautifully and prolifically, and it blooms prolifically. It's just a gorgeous plant. But some of the plants that we are putting into the garden today, these are all tough plants. Like they can tolerate up to zone 4. This year I wanted to add in roses that can tolerate a bit more colder temperatures because I lost a couple of roses this past winter. We are a growing zone 5B here in northern Indiana, and some roses that were supposed to be cold hardy in our growing zone did not make it through the winter. So I thought we're going to add in roses that can handle up to growing zone 4. So the New Dawn climbing rose grows up to 10 feet tall and up to 6 feet wide. It is supposed to be a very vigorous rose. It has these soft blooms that smell so good. You can see it's already covered in buds. And then we are going to be planting a diamond ball clematis. Isn't that color absolutely lovely? It has like a very soft lilac tone to it. Again, it's supposed to be hardy in growing zones 4 through 9. It has large flowers, it says, grows 6 to 8 feet tall and 4 to 5 feet wide. So this clematis is going to be planted onto the new picket fence that we have just recently added in. And then we have another rose called Rise Up Lilac Days. Isn't this color absolutely gorgeous? In just a bit, I will share where this rose is going, but again, it is hardy in growing zones 4 through 9. It has fragrant flowers, grows 5 to 8 feet tall and 2 to 4 feet wide, which is perfect for where this rose is going. The first climbing rose that we are going to be planting will be planted over here on this structure. We used to have our grapes growing up on this, but we have moved those out into the orchards. So eventually I would like to turn this into a little potting shed. But for now, I thought it would be fun to just add in this climbing rose and just let it completely cover this. Everyone I talked to about the New Dawn climbing rose said, make sure that you give that rose something sturdy to climb on. So I thought this structure will definitely hold it up. And if it gets as tall and as wide as it says, as the tag says that it does, then it will pretty much cover this whole side. It will scramble up over the structure. It will be so pretty right here. We do have our strawberry patch growing right in here up to this structure. But when we do go to turn this into a little potting shed or flower drying shed, we are just going to dig up this rose. And then once the structure is finished, we will replant the rose up on against the potting shed or little flower drying shed, because I think this rose would just be absolutely beautiful growing up a potting shed. So when I first plant my roses or even just any flowering perennial, I like to add the Shake and Feed, it's by Miracle-Gro, rose and bloom fertilizer. It has kelp, earthworm castings, it has feather meal, bone meal in it, and I will just shake in a little bit of this fertilizer right into the planting hole. And I also like to use a starter plant food. So I'll just, again, add in a little bit of that. And after my rose is planted, I will add in the rose and flower care like on top of the soil and kind of scratch it into the surface of the soil and water it in. And you can also get the liquid fertilizer with this. It's fertilizer, it's insect control, it's disease control. I use this at least 3 times, like in spring, in the middle of summer, and again towards the end of summer. The last time I would use it is maybe like at least 6 to 8 weeks before our first frost date, because this does make your roses grow. So you definitely don't want to be using it at the very end of the season. Whenever I'm planting climbing plants, I like to make sure that the plant is as close to the structure that it will climb up on as possible. All right, what do you think, friends? We have our new dawn climbing rose planted, and this rose is supposed to have repeat to continuous blooms from early summer right into fall. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to just watch it crawl up on this arbor. Now we have our next climbing rose, the Rise Up Lilac Days. We're going to plant it right here on the front of the chicken coop on this little trellis. I thought these lilac flowers would be so pretty just trained up on the walls of the chicken coop. What do you guys think? You might remember a little over a month ago, we planted out all of the sweet peas. So there is a couple of sweet pea plants on this trellis. They have just started climbing up. So it'll be fun just watching this rose and the sweet peas kind of grow together this summer. We are, again, just going to be adding in our fertilizers as we plant the rose. But oh my goodness, you guys. Doesn't this lilac rose just like speak romance to you? Oh, I just can't wait to see it growing on the white walls of the chicken coop. Our lilac climbing rose is planted, and this is in the herb garden that surrounds the chicken coop. Do you guys remember when we planted all of those herbs in here just 2 weeks ago? It is filling in already so much. The chamomile has started blooming. Oh, those blooms are so sweet. And the flavorette paired rose that is wonderful to use in tea has also started blooming. Oh, this is such a fun time of year. All right, our last climbing plant that we are going to put into the garden today is the diamond ball clematis, and it is going right here on the picket fence, and it will kind of overlook the greenhouse. I did plant a flowering quince right here. It's very small right now, but eventually it will be 3 to 5 feet tall. So I kind of have to be mindful of that. So I think we are going to plant the clematis right here on the very edge of the picket fence. So it can just kind of climb up and this way over the fence. I don't think I had shared this, but the diamond ball clematis and the Rise Up Lilac Days climbing rose, I both got from Great Garden Plants. They're one of my favorite online plant sources. And the New Dawn climbing rose is from Menards. It was like, I don't know, was it $15 for the climbing rose? Oh, two of my favorite places to go and buy plants from. This border I started putting in late last fall, so it is a very young border, but it is really going to fill in this summer with the dahlias and some of the other things planted in here. But the clematis went right here on this corner. We have our Rise Up Lilac Days climbing rose over here and the New Dawn climbing rose right here. Can you imagine these three just climbing up over these different structures, and it will all overlook the greenhouse. And over here on this arbor, right beside the greenhouse, a couple weeks ago, we did plant a clematis on there as well. So it is really going to be beautiful and romantic as these climbing plants start growing and filling in and blooming. But let's go get our sunflower seeds planted back here in the back field in that little sunflower patch. every year I have had my sunflower patch in here, but this year I decided to turn it into a dahlia patch instead. So I thought, you know what? I am just going to create a sunflower patch out here in our backfield. We just kind of let it grow wild for the wildlife and for the pollinators. But I thought this would be perfect for the birds to just fill this with sunflowers. So we're going to be growing Titan sunflowers in here, and these are massive blooms. It says that they have record-setting flower heads, some of them even reaching 24 inches across. But I like to have sunflowers growing literally just for the birds, because usually by September, when the blooms are done and the flowers have set their seeds, like the birds go crazy over these flower heads. By late fall, the flower heads are usually empty of seeds. So we will see what will happen with these huge sunflower heads. We'll see if the birds clean them up like they have done in previous years. All right, friends, the sunflower patch is completely planted. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to share updates on the sunflower patch as the season continues, because these Titan sunflowers are edible, which means we can harvest them for ourselves as well as feed them to the chickens, and they will provide food for the birds that visit the garden. But next time we are just going to walk through the garden together, because there's some garden updates that I wanted to share with you guys, and we're going to be looking at all of the early June blooms, because June is such a fun time in the gardens. Everything is bursting to life. And of course, we'll also take a peek at how the climbing plants are doing that we just planted today. But thank you for joining me in the garden today, friends. I hope it's been fun and inspiring. My hope is always that the gardens bring joy to your day. Have an amazing day in your own gardens, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.